There is a lot of anger and frustration in our community, as you know, dealing with the convicted sex offenders in light of what has happened.
The attack on Chelsea King, the discovery of the body of Amber Dubois are making us ask, are the laws currently in place working? Ross Becker has a special guest this morning to provide us with some answers.
Good morning, Ross.
Good morning, Sandra and Dan. You know, from the emails into news@kosi.com and certainly the comments that we've heard on the street covering these stories, people are angry that so many sex offenders are living among us, and in some cases, the monitoring of those sexual offenders is questionable. Joining us is 75th District State Assemblyman Nathan Fletcher this morning, who is beginning work on what he calls Chelsea's Law. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, we have Megan's Law, we have Jessica's Law. Why do we need Chelsea's Law?
Well, because I think we can see in a number of instances the system failed, and there's still some gaps in the system. You know, one was pointed out earlier, in that although Jessica's Law prohibits you from living within however many feet of a school, there's no enforcement mechanism.
So there's no way to enforce that?
No, and so that's one thing we need to fix. We need to make it a crime to do it, make it a revocable offense and send them back to prison.
All right, but there has to be a balance. Obviously, these people paid their debt to society. They came out, they're following the rules if they are registered. But at the same time, you have to balance that with possibly dangerous people, like some consider John Gardner in the Chelsea King case.
And our first priority is to parents and to children, to make sure we have in place a system of rules which protect children. And that has to be the guiding principle, is what can we do to best protect our children? These sexually violent predators that target children, I don't believe you can rehabilitate that. And so for those folks, I think we need the maximum possible sentence. And for the lower offense ones, we need a system that works, that's in place, where we have actual tracking and monitoring.
So you've seen some of the psychiatric reports on John Gardner in the Chelsea King case. You think he should, under Chelsea's Law, in your vision, would he have ever been let out of prison?
Well, I would never want to let him out of prison. I think he should have been locked up for the rest of his life. And I think folks who are like him ought to suffer that same penalty. But in talking with the King family and spending time with Brent and Kelly, they're committed. And they said, Nathan, we have to do a thorough review. And we've got to look at all of the laws, and we've got to find what are the reforms we can put in place that will make the biggest impact and make people safer. And that's what we're doing, is doing a thorough review of Megan's Law, of Jessica's Law, and saying where are changes, where are things we can improve upon and make the system work better.
There's one thing I want to talk about this morning, because Chelsea King, from her spirit, has already made some changes, hasn't she?
So one of the initial things we did is we said the starting point means a full review of the records to see where the system broke.
In a sense, John Gardner's parole records.
John Gardner's parole records. We requested those from corrections last week. They were very slow in responding. We requested more forcefully. They still didn't respond. And we were shocked to learn yesterday that they had destroyed John Gardner's record and say they had a policy of destroying him after 1 year. And it made absolutely no sense to me that a state agency charged with ensuring public safety would be destroying the records of sexually violent
predators. Why were they
predators.
destroying them?
Well, so
just policy?
They said it's just a policy. We do it after 1 year, and we demanded they change their policy. We called for an investigation into it. Their spokesperson said, we think our system works fine.
And last night the governor got involved.
And last night the governor overruled him and said, effective immediately, you will stop destroying records of sexually violent predators. You will keep them on file, and you'll do a better job of making them available to the public.
We can, in a sense, thank the spirit of Chelsea King and Brent and Kelly King for making that happen, because they're inspiring you.
Absolutely, and they've asked me to spearhead their legislative efforts, and it was a first step. It was a small step, but it was a good step, and there'll be many, many more to come.
So where do we go on Chelsea's Law now? What is next for that?
So what we've done is assemble a broad coalition that includes the district attorney, the sheriff, crime victims experts, crime victims groups, regular citizens, and we're doing that thorough review. And we're identifying all the areas of policy that need to be fixed. And then through a process with the family, those will be consolidated into one set of proposals. And at some point in the near future, they'll be rolled out as Chelsea's Law, and we'll try and get them passed through the legislature.
All right. Nathan Fletcher, 75th District Assemblyman from that area. Obviously, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. I'm sure we'll be talking to you more about Chelsea's Law as it comes to fruition.
Thank you.
Sandra and Dan, back to you. Obviously something in our community positive coming out of all of this, and that's what we all have to do as a community, I think.
It is really shocking that the records are destroyed after a certain period of time. I mean, that is just mind-boggling.
Well, I mean, obviously the reports are still there, the final reports. These are the field records, but there could be things in those field records that could help a judge, a parole board, someone down the line make a decision. That fine line between letting someone out, getting them help, and putting someone back in a neighborhood. And I think that's what they're talking about here, is those field records that could make that difference. And why destroy them? We have so much now on digital, on computers. We don't need storerooms anymore. So I think that's what certainly the family is saying, is let's not destroy these. It may help us protect another child.
Well, you need all the information you can get regarding these people in our community.
Well, now we can all get involved with Chelsea's Law if we believe that's an important thing. That is underway. So now we can all get involved in that.
Ross, thanks very much.
Thanks,
Thank
Ross.
you.
Yeah.